So when he hits this shot, the first thing he's thinking about, he's watching it going, well, that's pretty good.
Right.
If I do this a little bit more, man, it's going to be perfect.
That's the reload?
That's the reload.
If I do this?
Yeah,
then...
so now immediately he goes to that solution, he imprints that, now he's ready for the next shot, right? So what happens if he doesn't do anything and he still has that little, I'll call it little twerk or whatever it is in his swing? Now he goes to hit the next shot. The probability of him doing it again is likely because he didn't reload it properly. And when you're reloading it, you can't think about what happened on the last shot. So that little movement you did, so now we're going to preload this next shot, okay? So on this preload of this next shot, I want you to do that little movement that you finished with on the reload. That sets up the next shot. But I want you to make that movement. I want you to
practice.
Preload. Yeah, please.
Slow?
Yeah, I think so. Just do it real slow. Perfect. Okay, now that's I couldn't ask for any better than now just do that at just a slow natural speed like you would normally hit, right? So that was the technical that sets up the feel for this movement. All right, now he's ready. You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, how was that?
So-so.
Okay, that means it needs work?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the solution?
Angle of attack was too steep.
Okay, show me the solution. Good, do that again, just slow it down
Slow it
just
down.
a little bit, right? He said it needed work, so that means the reload needs work, not at full speed, right? Needs to be something that, there you go, you like that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect, now you're ready for the next one.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will you ask your student what you think his solution to what the reload is?
I'll always ask him if I have an idea that the student knows.
Because he said my angle of attack is too steep. You said do a reload. I'm curious what he did.
I'm not really curious right now.
Okay.
Because I'm not getting into that technical aspect.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I'm just asking him, does he know what the solution is? And does he try to imprint that, right?
Got it.
And if he tries to imprint it, then I'll ask him, does that feel like you imprinted it right? He tells me. And I say, okay, good, okay, next shot. Okay?
Yeah, the change was definitely different from the angle of attack to the next practice swing, yes. Okay, and actually overdid it on that last shot.
There you go.
So you made a minor adjustment
Correct.
in your angle of attack, whatever that is in your mind.
Physically, yes.
And then
Physically, and
execution.
that's why, here's the thing. This is why you physically do this. Most people say, well, I just reinforce it in my mind. Well, do you hit it with your mind? I mean, really. The physical imprint has a more indelible imprint than doing it with the mind. The first thing is you got to determine what the solution is. And once you determine what the solution is, then you physically do it. And I'm telling you, it changes everything. Okay, let's try it again. Preload it for me. First move, really slow. I just call the first one, just give me a good feel for it, nice and slow. All right, good. Now the next one, just kind of just nice and smooth. All right, perfect. Was that what you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it.
You better not say searching on that one.
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Didn't make it, but
Okay, so that was great. Okay, so you want to make that exact same move, same ball position and everything.
Is he going to do practice? No, he's going to go right to
No,
it.
no, no, no. He's going to imprint.
Yeah.
This is the most important piece. I mean, you want to learn how to catch fire? Hang on just for a second. Pause for a second. I'll tell you a story here real quick. Lanny Basham, the guy I got trained from, in this mindset piece. He was a shooter in the Olympics. He's shooting at the World Championships, okay? And I believe this was like 1975. And they're just warming up on the range. And his buddy's name's Bender. And Bender's over here shooting. And Lanny's, has 8, 9, and 10 rings, right, that you're shooting at, okay? He's going 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 8, 9, 9. And Bender's over there 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 9, 10, 9, 10. And Lanny's over there watching him. And so he goes back, and Lanny keeps shooting. 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 10, 9, 9, 8. He goes back over. Bender's just ripping it up. 10, 10, 10. Bender says, Lanny, what are you doing? He goes, well, Bender, he goes, you keep hitting these 10s. He says, yeah. And he said, man, I can't get off the 9. He goes, Lanny, the problem with you is you don't even know what you do when you hit the 10. So when you do it perfect, if you don't imprint it, what are the chances of him going back to the 9? So what did he do? He goes, oh my God. He goes, the light bulb just went on. He goes, I went over and he goes, I preloaded exactly what I did when I hit the 10, and I reeled off 40 10s in a row. He goes, I went and set a new world record, and I beat Bender. What do you do when you do it right? You just ripped it, right? And so immediately set up to it with the exact ball position, the exact width of the stance, the exact distance that you were away from it, and imprint that exact move that you just did when you hit it great. Why? Because we're trying to improve probability, aren't we? The probability of him doing it again. Make sense? Perfect. Imprint it. Give it a try.
Very slow, right?
Yeah, first one's slow and technical. Technical sets up feel. Always does. There you go. Now just nice and smooth for me. That's perfect. And that's close.
Yep. That was real close.
Now imprint that again. So what I do is I'll say, hold off on reaching for the ball, like the 18 handicappers do. Now just imprint it.
You're awesome 18 handicap.
Now just immediately imprint that movement. Nice and slow. Same movement. There you go. Now you can reach for the ball. Okay, so now you're going to preload this again. You're going to go through that same movement, nice and slow. Nice and slow. Technical sets up field. Do it slow for me. There you go, dude. All right, now just a nice, smooth, slow swing for me. All right, let her rip.
Bingo.
Lovely.
Okay. Imprint, same movement, right? Don't reach for the ball.
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't want to have to pay for the turf.
I got you. So now imprint this for me, right? This is how you catch fire in practice. Do the same thing here as you're doing on the golf course. Because then it becomes like him to do this. It becomes like him to put solutions in place. It becomes like him to preload the shot. He always reloads the shot and puts the right solutions in place. It's that simple.
Bingo.
One in a row. Imprint. Imprint. Just watch it. Imprint. There you go. Hey, nice work. See, he's on a roll. Okay, principle of repetition states when you're doing something really well, you keep doing it. You keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Hit one more. Okay.
And also, principle of repetition states if you're doing something not so well, stop, go do something completely different. Always remember that. Don't let your athletes or your students grind and fight through it. Remove them from it, take them off on something else, then maybe circle back to it the next day. Don't sit there and just destroy the self-image. Okay, so now, solution.
Not good.
Is that a solution?
Oh.
So it needs work,
Yep.
right?
Got the solution.
All right. What is it?
2 things. Reduce angle of attack, a little earlier release.
Okay, show me. Do it real slow. Like that?
Did.
Perfect. All right, preload it now. Real slow. There you go. Now the next one, just a smooth movement back and forth. There you go, man. You're ready. That's how you get it back on track, guys. It's that simple.
So Shawn,
Yes, sir.
so when you're imprinting there,
Yeah.
okay, you're doing it slow first, and you're going a little bit faster, right?
Yeah.
You're giving the subconscious mind the belief, okay, I've got this now. I don't think about it, I can just trust it and go forward with it. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And what you're doing is you're growing the self-image so it becomes like you to do this, right? So when you do this, it controls the conscious mind, all right? So it's not thinking about the result. All I'm thinking is the next solution, the next solution. And when you start training like this, because this is the way you want to play, right? And this is with everything, here, putting, chipping, every shot around, is that you're preloading it. This is the shot that I want. This is the lie I've got. I'm rehearsing the exact move that I've got. Okay, now I got that. Yep, perfect. All right, I'm committed to it. All right, now hit the shot. Watch it, and then immediately go to the solution, whatever that solution is. Great, good, needs work. And you imprint that. And I'm going to tell you what, you start controlling the conscious mind starts thinking about next steps. What's next? What's next? What's next?
What do you do if you ask your student for the solution and they, you know that it's not the right solution?
Get your head out of their butt. All right? Look, man, you got to listen to me. If we're going to sit out here and grind it on this, man, we've got to get this right. Okay? Let's do it slow. All right? Walk them through, and if you can't get it, then you get in there and jump in. You start working the club of where it needs to be and say, okay, so we'll use this example. Just go ahead and set it for it. So let's say he's got his head in his shorts and he's not doing it. Say, look, man, this is what we got to do. All right, now move the club back. Okay, all right. Move the club back. All right. You're up here. We've got to get it a little more flatter here. Whatever it is, okay? Whatever it is, right? I'm working it through that a couple times, and I'll say, okay, now I'm gonna step back here. Say, okay, now imprint this. Start over again for me. Let's just see if we can do this. Just show me what we got here. Okay, it's pretty good. Good. Let's do it again. All right, good. Then I'll say, okay, now hit me a shot. Okay, I'll have him hit me a shot, and then after he hits the shot, then I'll say, okay, what's the solution? Then he goes, well, I didn't have it flat enough or whatever it is. Okay, now show me that move. Wow, that's pretty good. And you're like, and then you go over and move. He's like, gosh, I've got to be that exaggerated. And you're like, yeah, man, you got to be that exaggerated to get it somewhat close. Have him hit the shot. Wow, that was better. I got less turf. I squared the club face. Okay, good. Imprint that. And you just keep working the cycle. Working the cycle. You've got to give the athlete or the person the opportunity to build capacity and build tolerance and variability and flexibility in their training as an athlete. You can't be a crutch there for them all the time. You got to let them fail. I mean, you got to let them struggle. To me, I love seeing people struggle, as long as they've got somebody to help them, get it on the right track or explain to them, hey, this is what you got to do. Like my athletes, when I train them, I loved it. They looked at me like I had 4 heads when I told them. I said, man, this is the greatest day we've had. They're like, God, man, coach, this was a tough day. And I'm like, yeah, we struggled, didn't we? Best way to learn. Best way to learn. Because then what's he going to do? He's like, man, I got to get these imprints down. He's going to imprint even more because he doesn't quite have the solutions down.
Just from personal experience, I try to get my students to swing in slow motion, but they're slow on a scale of 1 to 10. 10's a full swing, they're at a 9.
Well, get in there
they'll
and jump
think
in and show them what it's like,
Yeah, I do.
and make them do it.
Slow speed is, they're all quick.
Never assume. Ever. I don't care what level they're at, what level they're performing at. Never assume they know. Don't ever assume they got it. And for me, that always worked for me because I never let them get away with anything. Because I got a short time frame, right? It's a fleeting moment working with your athletes and your students. I always like to be on top of them, but also I give them the flexibility to, hey, show me what the imprint looks like. Let's see if we can do it, right?
You do that the whole lesson, or is that just a piece of it?
That's just a piece. That's just a
mentally
small.
wearing.
That's just a small piece,
Okay.
because you got the preload piece is the lie, the yardage conditions, then selecting the club and rehearsing shots. So what he did a portion of the preload, right? He just did the imprint, is all he did. So he imprinted the shot that he's going to hit, which is very important, right? Because that sets up the commitment phase of the shot. And then he hits the shot. Then after the shot, which is really important too, is the reinforcement piece. So we did the bookends, is what we did. And if you just do this, it's magic. You're going to get your players to do things that they've never done before. They're not going to wear themselves out at all. When we were on the hitting deck, we usually practiced with about 25 balls, and it took us an hour and a half to go through 25 balls. Yeah. A lot of imprints. A lot of imprints. Yes, sir.
Do you have the players do any imprinting out on the course and just around he's playing with his other teammates or anything?
What you do here is what you do on the course. Everything.
So you hit a great shot on a par 3 and then you imprint right
Oh,
away?
you walk off to the side and get out of the way of your podsies,
Okay.
and man, you're imprinting that sucker like, man, I got these guys. This is exactly what I want. Absolutely. Every time. There's one player on the tour that reinforces better than anybody that I've seen, and that's Furyk. And I don't know if he does it on his own or who's taught him, but his putting is unbelievable. And man, let me tell you something. He preloads it. He gets it, and then when he hits a shot, he immediately reinforces every time. Every time. He even does it when he has a club in his hand too. But there's not many out there that do it, and they sure would be a lot better.
Do you find that this easily translates to group instruction, like
Oh my
3 or
God,
4 or 5?
I can do it with 100.
Really?
Absolutely. Once they get the concepts
Sure.
down,
Yeah.
and if they somewhat understand their solutions, especially if they get their solutions down, they can do it. And the easiest way to do it is on the putting green. Oh my God, you can tell what you did wrong if you hit a putt 10 feet past the hole. So you immediately like, oh my God, that was too long and too fast. I've got to shorten this up, right? And then they make the adjustment. The putting's the easiest piece. And then you go from there. You go from putting to chipping to pitching to distance wedges, and then work your way up. Yeah. Cool stuff. Anything else? Come on.
The thing I love most about, not most, there's lots of things I love about it, but in working with players, especially, it doesn't even matter what the gamut, the tendency for players to go to the negative, what did I do wrong, always trying to fixate on the problem, to your point.
Yeah.
What I love most about this is no matter what it is that you're doing, if if you're always looking for what it is that you want, so that there's always a positive directive of this is who I'm going to be. So if you're not, it's like you said, you acknowledge it for that wasn't what I wanted to do, reframe into what you want to do, feel what you want to do, practice what you want to do, and hit the shot. And then when you do it, do the same thing over and over again, so that what we want is always the same. What we don't want brings us back to what we want, and we just keep fighting into a cycle of what we want all the time.
Yeah, 90% of what you worry about doesn't happen anyway. Pretty simple. Someone earlier asked about players that are injured. Okay. We call it's a pause in their career, or it's a pause in their season. Okay? So this is what I learned at the Olympic level, but I'm going to share this with you. I had a kid that had got a torn tendon in his hand. Okay? It was hard to diagnose, and it went for about 4 or 5 months, and he couldn't do anything, and finally they got it figured out what it was, did all the scans and all that, and figured out it was a tendon. They did surgery, and then he was out basically another 6 months is what he was. So this was going into the summer. He had surgery, so he's out, and he's a good player, and he had all of his scheduled events, the AJGA events around the country, all set up to go to and all that. And he turns to me, he says, so what do we do? I said, are you kidding me? What do you mean, what do we do? We don't miss any training. You're going to train every day that you're supposed to be there. You're going to go to your competitions. You're going to play your pre-tournament rounds. You're going to preload the golf course with Pro Visualizer. You're going to build your game plans. You're going to look at the weather, and you're going to play these competitions, and you're going to schedule the score, and you're going to upload all of this to the software. And I said, I want every bit of it videotaped, just like we do every day. He looked at me, and he thought for about 5 seconds. The engineering guy. He said, I got it. I have everything filmed. I have everything documented, okay? He came to training. He did his performance analysis at the end of the day. He played these tournaments, and he posted the scores, he did his goals, he did his outcome, he did his position goals, he did everything. Played in all the events. And he was out for another almost 6 months. And we did this for 6 months. When the doctor released him, okay, he really didn't have to do much therapy. He did a little bit, but he was ready to go upstairs, right? 100% ready to go. Because he never left. He was engaged 100% of the time because I didn't allow him to drift or fall. We went out and played 9 holes. He shot 5 under. We teed up everything, right? I wasn't going to let him go after the ball. We teed it up, shot 5 under. And he ended up getting a full ride to a Power 5 conference. 4-year full ride. Those are very few and far between. And he didn't miss a beat. And I said, your ball beating days are over. He goes, but my imprinting days are not. That's pretty powerful.
So what do you mean by he competed and did all that?
He did. Okay, so he was going to, let's say he has an AJG event in Missouri, and the pre-tournament round is on Tuesday. He goes on Pro Visualizer, the 3D software, brings it up. He charts the entire golf course, exactly he's going to play it. He's got the weather right here, what the wind is, and he charts. This is what I teach all the athletes to do. They chart the entire golf course from start to finish, and on the day he would look and see what his tee time would be, okay? And then he would get in front of the computer, and he would chart. He'd look what the wind is, and he'd say, okay. He'd run the entire preload in his mind, okay? Then he would commit to the shot, and he would hit the shot, and he would draw it to here. Reload the shot, walk to the golf ball, go to the next shot, had 168 yards in, wind's now at 3 o'clock, elevation's at about 2%. All right, it's playing this, and this is the shot. And he would get up and he'd do the rehearsals in his room. He'd get up and he'd do the rehearsals, exactly what he's going to imprint. Then he hit the shot and he put it on the green.
Did you make any bogeys?
Yes, he did. He was realistic, right? And he did that for 4 days. imprinted it, and then he sat down and he did his performance analysis after every single day. That's the stuff I'm going to work with the Saints on their injured reserves. That right there, where you're 100% engaged. You're never out of it. Because you can lose it physically because you're not getting the reps in, but you don't lose it mentally. And if you don't lose it mentally and you're doing the reps in, as soon as you're released to go, you're good to go. Because you always hear that when someone comes off the injured reserve, oh well, they got to get reps in. They got to get ready to go. They need some time to train. Not at all. When this is engaged 100% all the time. Just something to think about. So I call it a pause. I don't call it an injury. Because an injury has all kinds of negative connotations, right? It has so many things associated with it. Just a pause. You got a pause in their career or a pause in their season. Just something to think about. Yeah, I got all that stuff documented, and I show it at all our coaching conferences to our NCAA coaches, and they all just shake their head. So I show him in the brace and all that, and he's out doing imprinting. He's walking the golf course with me, with the players. He learned more about coaching than anything, because he's walking with me while I'm on the course working with the players. I mean, he can run this system inside, upside down, inside out. He spent 7 years doing it. Just something to think about. Imprinting's powerful. It's so powerful. And not just here, but everything that you do in life. Everything that you do in life. Yeah. I could stay out here all day doing this, guys. Matter of fact, I do.
Can we bring some AC out?
Huh? Bring some cold beer out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Any other question? Anything about this stuff? Don't. Hey, ask, because we got it. We got the systems in place. I was a mad scientist doing all this stuff.
What about speed? Trying to get the club head speed to go faster. How do you get them to imprint?
That's technical. That's technical. I'll leave that up to you guys. That's technical.
What happens when you have a player?
Now I have my, thoughts and stuff on that, but that's the technical piece, right?
Yeah.
That's the technical piece. Yes.
There's got to be some type of a stage where, the player's so new or they've been playing for a while, but they're just awful. And
Yeah.
they can't really hit the ball. They
Right.
can't even get preloaded. They really don't know what they're doing. Is it just all technical?
They just might need to reconsider.
That's
We
not
all
good from,
have.
That's not good from
Well, I know. I'm just kidding.
You know what I mean? It's just
No, we do.
you're
The
stuck
thing
there.
is, it's all about reps. They've got to get the reps in. They've got to get reps over and over and over and over again. They've got to get the reps in. This sport requires more reps. I don't know another sport. Does anybody know any other sport that requires this many reps?
Swimming.
Huh?
Swimming.
Okay. Self-initiated sports, man, require so many reps. So many to be able to do it. You're not in a team environment with, you can make a mistake and this guy can help you out. But it's all reps. And just stay with it and keep reinforcing. But even at where they're at, you can get them to imprint.
Right.
And you start teaching them to do that. And then when they do get it right, just say, okay, make that same imprint again. And then if they don't, ask them. Say, hey, what do you think the solution is here? Get them to engage their mind and start having that dialogue with them. Man, you'll start getting going. I did it, man. I taught beginners. We all do. We all teach beginners. I taught them forever. Yeah. Remember, everybody's got one of these, You got to engage it. You're thinking. I know it, dude.
Yeah.
You get your mouth going, man. It's
Yeah.
like,
What kind of test you run to find out their self-image of themselves?
Well, I put them in situations, right? Field, training for field, training for shot, training for the round, training for competition. You find out real quick where their self-image is when you put them in competition. Real quick. Now, let's say over a particular round of 18 holes, your self-image can do this. Shrink and grow, right? 5 birdies in a row. Oh, it's not like me to make 5 in a row. I'll make 5 bogeys in a row. Oh, it's not like me to make 5 bogeys in a row. I'll make 2 birdies in a row. Right? Adjusting. It constantly adjusts. But the key is that it's adjusting on the growth side as opposed to adjusting on the shrinking side. Grows, maybe gets a little smaller, but it's bigger than it was. Does that make sense? And so you're constantly doing that. That's how I do it. I put them in competition.
Okay.
Training for competition. That tells you real quick. I mean, a lot of these guys fold like a cheap lawn chair, you know, when you put them in competition. Some of them won't. But what it does is it gives you a baseline to start with. You know? And then you determine what their profile is. Because here's the deal. The number one profile in America right now is called the cautious innovator. And that's the kids. They're reckless and cautious. They've gone from being afraid to fail to be afraid to make a decision. They only make a decision now. So if you think about this, if the athlete or the kid or what have you is a cautious, fearful decision maker, where's their self-image? I mean, think about that. Just from the very beginning. It's small, right? Okay, so now you start growing their self-image in this environment. I'm going to tell you what, when they leave the gates, I'm going to tell you what, some of it carries with them. And you start teaching them how to build strategies, committing to the shots, hitting shots and reinforcing it and understanding the system. Let me tell you what, it carries over to the classroom. That's why, I mean, what Corum did and what Basham did, it's revolutionary. It is when it comes to human performance and human development. It's because you got the cautious, fearful decision makers, and then you got self-image, small self-images. I mean, I do it with every team, all coaches. I say, look, draw out your conscious size. How big is your conscious size? How big is your subconscious size? And how big is your self-image? Draw it out on paper for me, where you sit. 97% of the athletes, small self-image. Small self-image. It's not like them to do it. Or they're trying to accomplish a goal that they can't accomplish. Small self-image.
Shawn, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. What's your best takeaway from non-golf environment that you've been around, that you've applied to the golf, even before when you were working a little heavier in the youth?
You mean in like on the street or in business, or?
It could be business or another sport that you had an opportunity to kind of be involved with.
I'll tell you what. What's interesting is diving is a real interesting piece. That is. Anybody here have anybody in diving or kids or anything? Anybody ever done it? Okay, I haven't either. But the applications are the same. Imprinting is so important in diving, and visualizing yourself doing those. So again, imagined imprints, actual imprints, and environmental imprints, right? And that mental program on that piece it's probably as important as it is right here, because it's a self-initiated move, right? So they've got to completely be able to control their thoughts, because when they're going up, when you can't build the strategy from the ground, because the wind up there at the top of those trees where they might be diving from is a lot different. So when they get up and they're at the end of the board before they walk out, they're building their strategy. What's the lie? What's the yardage? What are the conditions? They have to factor all of that in so that they commit to the movement, run their program, and execute the dive. Just like golf. It really is. So for me, it was great being able to see that transition and that translation from what we're doing here in a self-initiated sport, taking it to diving. I've taken a business. I work with neurosurgeons and helping them with when they go in with their strategies, but that whole commitment phase in that strategy, right? Because man, that's nerve-wracking stuff that they're doing. It is nerve-wracking. So getting them to be able to commit to it, but also when they're training, you know, they're getting ready. They've got a surgery tomorrow, and they're getting ready to do. And they get the team together, and they preload everything. They know everything. They see everything that they're going to do, and they go through every single step. Okay? Oh, the one that resonates with me the most is magicians. Sleight of hand magicians with cards. They spend more time imprinting plan B than they do the actual magic or the actual whatever they're doing with the cards, right? The actual trick. Thank you. Okay, my brain's fried, literally. So think about the reinforcement that they have to do on both ends all the time. So this guy Dan Coram, he was one of the top magicians in the world. So I'm talking to him about this, and he's like, I spent 3 to 4 years on one trick before I performed it. 3 to 4 years on one trick before he performed it. That's like Olympic training. And he goes, and I spent all that time on plan B. Because what happens if it doesn't work? So we had hours of conversations around that. And what's interesting, I met Dan first, then I met Lanny second, and I'm like, these two guys need to meet. So I did. I introduced them, and then I let them go. They chatted for hours. It was really neat. I wish I could have filmed it, that conversation. But how many parallels they had between, how a person operates and makes decisions and communicates, and how a person performs and makes confident decisions so they can commit to the action. It all goes together. So, yeah, and I imagine, I hope that I'm not done experiencing it. Pretty cool stuff.
So, quick question, Shawn. If you're looking towards Plan B, are you fully secure with Plan 1 though?
Well, you
Plan
are.
A?
I mean, that's what you're committed to. But in that environment where you have to have a backup plan, right? As a magician, because if you don't, you're history. You're history if you don't have a backup plan. And I've seen them. I've seen card tricks fail, right? But you have plan B, and so that's why it takes so long to do these tricks and build these tricks. I mean, it takes years of repetition over and over and over again. It's crazy. You got to be ludicrous to do that kind of stuff. I mean, it's kind of like sitting here hitting balls. You got to be kind of ludicrous to do these kind of things, right? I mean, we're all kind of tilted one side to the, I don't know what side that is, but I'm there with you. We have a unique kinship among all of us in what we do. But in that type of situation, Plan B. I don't know of any other thing that I can think of that has that Plan B. Well, parachuting would be one, right? Plan B, right? Safety chute. They spend more time preparing that safety chute. I could be completely wrong, but I would think they spend more time. You've been in the military. You parachute?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're a water boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I think they prepare more time in preparing that safety chute.
And somebody double checks it for him.
Huh?
Somebody double checks
Yeah.
the safety sheet
Yeah, absolutely.
for you.
Yeah.
Shawn?
Yes, sir.
Just want to go back to the practicing, and I guess it could be range or practice, but just in general, I don't know if it changes whether you have more beginning players or players that excel. But let's just say if we called it 100 golf balls in a practice environment or a half hour of putting. With what you just showed us here, do you have your players do that every single time they hit golf balls?
Oh yeah, you're in.
So it's just I'm saying this is how we go about golf. There is no just hitting balls. It's just this is how we're doing it.
Oh yeah.
100% of the time.
100% of the time. Anything that you do in competition, why don't you do in training? And even if they don't have the skill set to do it, they can try, right? What's it going to do to hurt them? I mean, last thing you want them to do is hit 100 golf balls. Good God, they'd wear anybody out. But what's not exercised enough is the muscle upstairs. That's what will wear you out.
I think we kind of do
I had you engaged there.
Good.
Right?
I think we kind of do it a little bit as instructors, pre-shot routines, practice swings. I think we do some in training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, we do. All I did was define it.
Yeah.
Why do you do it? What impact's it going to have? When do you do it? Where do you do it? How do you do it? All the measured and defined and timed stuff, you know?
Well, I was more just, I'm thinking of like basketball.
Okay, who's
And
the
then if
who's the number one free throw shooter ever to play the game?
Gary.
Nash.
Oh, that's
Still to this day his record.
2 repetitions, give me the ball.
You ought to
dribble,
see him in
dribble.
practice.
They're the same thing.
His in practice,
Yeah.
before the ball even got to him, he's rehearsing the move. Got 2 of them exactly the way he wanted. He got the ball, same amount of dribbles, same look, same time frame. I timed him over and over again. Shoots the ball, he makes it, imprints it again. Bam, gets the ball again, same amount, at the same time, every time, every single time, over and over again. And he trains like that. It's imprinting is powerful, folks. Rehearsals, imprint, over and over again. Yeah, because I work with a couple guys from the Milwaukee Bucks, and I mean, I go through and I look at all their stats, right? I look at where they're at. I'm like, man, you guys suck at free throws. I can shoot better free throws than you guys. Take them to the free throw line. Okay, show me what you do. I got film of them. Well, this right here doesn't match this. The looks aren't the same. The timing's not the same. The dribbles aren't the same. So which one are we going to commit to? We're going to commit to this one, or are we going to commit to this one? Which one are you doing? Hey, we've seen it with Jordan Speed. I've seen him to go from 3 looks to 8. So think about what's going on in that mind.
Yeah, who was that high jumper in the Olympics that before he did that?
I have no idea.
Dwight,
But I mean the looks, you know.
yeah,
I mean, you know, when you look at the program, you know, running the mindset program is that you preload the shot, you rehearse it, and then back here after I've rehearsed this shot, you know, hit the shot. Okay, I'm rehearsing it. Okay, I like that. I'm committed. I set my lines. Now I have to start the program, right? I got to start it. That starts with a physical trigger. Okay, and it's designed to keep you from rushing into the shot. Okay, so from the time right here, this is 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. I measured it at 3. I probably did it 10,000 times with my athletes. And I start them at 3 steps, if you can get 3 steps behind the ball. Physical drop, that starts the time. Point of initiation. Blade to the ball. Eyes the target. Eyes the ball. Set the feet. Confirm the shot. Eyes the ball. As soon as my eyes come back to the ball. So, you guys are familiar with the Quiet Eyes Project, Joan Vickers?
Nope.
Okay. In sports, when your eyes are when your eyes are moving, if I turn to look at you, they're blurry for, like a millisecond. And as soon as they get clear, okay, that's when I got to turn it over to the subconscious skill and let it go, okay? So as soon as my eyes come back, I confirm the shot. As soon as my eyes come back, as soon as they set on the ball and the eyes are still, I have a last thought. That last thought turns it over to the subconscious, which is your skill, and you go. And that leaves no thought at all. That's how you do it. So that last thought, it needs to be personal to you. It can't be outcome driven. It can't be swing related. It can't be position oriented. It needs to be something like butter, blue, banana, grape. It means nothing. Because you want to control the conscious mind for 1 more second, so it turns it over to the subconscious skill, and you can execute the shot without any thought. Okay? All right? So when I start back here, I preloaded the shot, I tap. Blade of the ball. Eyes the target. Eyes the ball. Set the feet. Confirm the shot. Eyes the ball. Blue. Okay? I hit the shot, and then I reinforce. That's 15 seconds. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. over and over and over and over again. Putting is 10. Chipping is right around 10, maybe 11. And that's how you train the athletes, over and over again. So what happens here, if I tap, point of initiation, tap, I go blade of the ball, eyes the target, eyes the ball, eyes the target, eyes the ball, set the feet, eyes the target again, there and there and there. I got all kinds of shit going on, don't I? Then I hit the shot. Then that's a matter of how good your skill set is. Okay? But I can tell you this, and I know for a fact, is that your skills, day in and day out, cannot outperform your self-image. Day in and day out, it can't. There are times when it can. The highly skilled. But day in and day out, it cannot outperform the self-image. It can't. And so that's what I'm saying is that things need to be defined. People say, well, I've got a routine. I'm saying, okay, define it. What do you do? Why do you do it? When do you do it? And where do you do it? Define it for me. What's the timing on it? How many looks do you have? What's the key to turn it over to the subconscious so you can hit the shot? Because I can do this all day long and I got no clue what's going on. I have no clue where I'm at. I got no clue who I'm playing with. I got no clue what the score is. All I'm doing is just running my program. I get back behind it, or I shoot my laser, I get it. Okay, perfect. I look at the wind, all right, perfect, got it. Step back. I always like to rehearse my shot down the exact line that I'm going to hit it on. That's my eyes just like to work better that way, but that's just me. And then once I rehearse it, I step behind it. I always tell my athletes to bring the club up high enough and then drop it down. Why? So I can see you from 400 or 500 yards away when you're running the program. On putting, it's done right next to the ball. So if I'm putting to here, I built my strategy and all that, and I'm going to preload it right here. Some players like to take practice strokes behind the ball. Perfect. I don't care where you really do the preload. It doesn't matter. But now I'm going to get up here, so I'm going to preload it here. I take my practice strokes. I tap, point of initiation, tap. Blade of the ball, eyes the target, eyes the ball, set the feet. Confirm the shot, eyes the ball, last thought. Hit the putt, then reinforce. Program's the same. It's the same on every single shot. Doesn't deviate. Easy to train, easy to replicate, easily to duplicate. Laney wrote it on a 4-step and 5-step. I condensed it down to 3. I made everything 3s. Preload, lie, yardage conditions. Mindset program, point of initiation, point of alignment, point of focus. That's when your eyes come back to the ball and they set, point of focus. After you hit the shot, reinforcement. Was it great? Was it good? Does it need work? And then reinforce those moves. Everything in 3s. I can't remember much past 3. So we kind of try to keep it simple, you know. But that's kind of what the mindset piece looks like. And you train that. So what I did is I helped you with the preload a little bit, right? I helped you with the reload. And if I see him again, say, okay, now let me start working with you on the mindset piece. And you start seeing all of it unfold, all of it go together. You start doing that on the golf course, man. You have no idea where you're at. You have no clue what's going on. I'll never ask an athlete how you stand, what you made on the hole, what you shot. Nothing with outcome. Nothing. All I ask, say, man, tell me what you did well today. Sometimes they really have to think. It's a pretty tough day out there, right? And when they do, they got to dig down deep. Because you want that imprint. You want that imprint carried over to the next day, right? Or sometimes, man, they get to go to town. Oh, man, coach, I did this, and this, and this. All right, great. Let's do it again next week.
I was talking to Shawn earlier today about kind of what I do from a mental state, to calculate, commit, visualize, hit it.
Yeah.
But I added one with regards to a rifle class I took in college, and it's breathe. And it's kind of like your gray, purple, whatever you're doing. You know, you completely forget about physically what you're doing, and it goes to your subconscious.
It does.
Pull it off.
All of a sudden you hit the shot and you're like, wow,
Yeah.
where the hell did that come from? That was pretty good.
But I had to get in rhythm
You
with
did.
regards to your steps and everything, and what I say to myself, when my foot hits, when the club
Yeah.
hits, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we timed it. We started with all different variations, but typically it's about 3 steps. So the baseline is 15. You can't get outside. If you get 2 seconds too long or 2 seconds too short, other thoughts are going on. You can be 1 second. You can be 16 or you can be 14. There's a little variance there, right? Putting and chipping's the same way. But it's funny. You get guys, man, they're doing this in training and all that, and you put them in competition, it goes to 18. It's like that. But you can make the correction in competition. You're like, look, you need to pick it up just a little bit in the routine. Oh, really? Where at? Just make everything a little quicker. Not one specific area. Just make everything a little quicker. Just walk a little faster to the ball, because a lot of times you get this. You know, you got point of initiation tap, and they're standing here for 3 seconds before they do anything, and they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do. And then when they get in here, they put blade of the ball, and they stand here for 3 seconds, because you know they're thinking, right? They're like, okay, do I have this? Then they look at the target. I mean, everything starts compounding itself over and over and over again. Key is not to get them to think, but it has to be designed. It has to be. The results we found, I found it has to be designed.
Final questions for Shawn?
What do you think?
Great job.
Cool. Questions? Question? None? Okay.
Quick question.
Yeah.
One of the better players I work with, we talk the same thing. Never scores. Maybe the next day he'll text me what he shot if I'm not around. Always want to know what went well. When he doesn't play well, his report is always that he battled or something along those lines. Because
Well, you hope. You better.
So, but
You
is that?
hope
I mean, in that line, if
well,
what happened?
what
well
you want to do is you're looking for one. What did he learn? Okay, that's the key. What did they learn? What did you learn from today? And that's when you can really it's like an onion. You keep peeling it back. Keep peeling it back. What solutions do you need? Well, Coach, man, I have a hard time playing anymore. I really do. And I need some help on that. Can you help me with some indicators on when? Sure. Yeah, I can help you with that. And you don't even have to have wind to look for indicators. You can teach them how to do the indication. And then in the environment when it starts blowing, then you can work with them on the